post-session Q&A. So let me know, guys, if you have any questions.
Devanshu, I have a confusion regarding just now. You have mentioned that we cannot use in a single flow we cannot use ABAP runtime and HANA runtime
That's right.
object.
That's right.
But right now in the end routine we have used the HANA. In the end routine we have used our ABAP old method.
No, runtime
Right?
is not changed. Please don't get confused between routine and runtime. Okay, runtime is at a transformation layer, at a overall transformation level. Within HANA runtime, you can have end routine written in ABAP as an ABAP end routine, but you cannot have ABAP runtime, complete runtime changed as ABAP. So these are two separate things. One is at an overall transformation level. One is within the transformation, start routine, end routine, field routine. These are components of the transformation. So only one component, which is end routine, is possible via ABAP, but it is still HANA runtime, meaning HANA will do most of the heavy lifting, and at the end, because end routine is at the very end of the transformation, right? So at the very end, anyways, it transfers the control to ABAP server. So it says that, okay, if you want, to run the ABAP code, I am allowing you to do that, so that our poor ABAP server doesn't feel bad. Okay, that just a joke, but because you are not interfering with HANA. See, suppose if I'm doing a work, right? I'm doing and in between, if you start poking me that, okay, give me the data, or do this for me, do that for me, then I will get irritated. But if you let me do my work quietly, and at the end, when I'm ready to hand over, you want to do something also, please feel free. You're not interfering with me. That means you will not impact the performance. If I let you do start routine, if I let you do field routine, then there will be back and forth data transfer between runtime, HANA runtime, database, HANA database, and ABAP. That's going to be a problem. Then I will be annoyed, of course. But end routine, fine. Go for it.
But this is a great comparison.
You mean to say that in the start routine and field level routine, we have to use in case of HANA runtime, we should use
not
our
you should.
MDP.
You cannot use ABAP code. You have to use
only.
You have to use the SQL script based code.
Okay. Only in case of end routine, only I can use. I have an option to use either
you
MDP
have an
or
option. Preference, I would still prefer HANA to do the entire end-to-end thing, if you ask me, right? But say, for example, you have a function module. It's a very complex function module. It's a standard function module. You cannot, replicate the entire code as a SQL script sometimes, and that is going to be a very resource-intensive task. In that cases, if you want to leverage the standard function module, then you can do that all in end routine if you want.
Devanshu, this is Vijay.
Yeah, Vijay.
What happens if we do conversion past ABAP code? We have mostly includes, bad is fine, but we have includes which we have written in start routine and end routine. Yeah. And also we have some routines openly written in the transformations. Will that get converted to this?
So at the time of
custom code.
Yeah. So what happens is at the time of migration, the migration workbench will try to convert your routines, regular routines, and includes into a class and method framework, OOPS concept, right? But some things are incompatible. If it's a custom code and there are some lookups and then you are doing some custom includes, then custom function modules, then it won't be able to do seamlessly, right? Then you have to, and then it will just convert it into an ABAP runtime. It will say HANA runtime not possible. ABAP runtime is there. this is what I could do, this is what I could convert into class and method, because ABAP runtime also is class and methods. The only difference is class is a regular class, that's all, right? So it will try to do it, but definitely you will have manual activity and manual effort there if you have heavy customizations. Simple codes, it will easily transfer into a method and a class, but complex codes, definitely you have to take care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devanshu, like we used to have loops for ABAP, so I don't think this AMDP we do write any loop or something like that, right?
In AMDP, you can do a select, you can do a left auto join, you can write complex joins, yes. But if you want to do loops like for loop or do while loop, uh, then I think it is, I'll have to test. I think it is still possible if I'm not wrong, as long as you are not doing a delete or, any updates. If you're just reading it via loops, I think it's still possible in the AMDP code. Because in HANA, when you write a SQL script procedure, there also we have for loop, we have do while loop acceptable. So you will be able to do it here also until you are not violating that read only constraint. If you violate that, then of course not, but otherwise then you can use the loops.
Okay. No,
What
what
if
I
I
was
have
thinking, like the nested loops, what we do for, like high cardinality data. So 1:n relationship, something like that. So when we use nested
Yeah,
loop in
I
ABAP.
think you can do that. Nested loops are possible here also in SQL script, within a for loop and inside another for loop, or within a do while loop another do while loop. That those are possible within the AMDP also, because SQL script procedure will allow that, so you should be able to do that as well. But of course, performance wise, it is not recommended. Try to change the nested loops into a join if possible, because in HANA joins work very fast. So joins will work very well for you. Or if you want nested loops, then use, in ABAP there was parallel cursor to avoid
Right.
nested loops. But in AMDP, there is no concept of parallel cursor like that. It's just that modularize it. So divide it into chunks. First do a one select, put it into internal table, then you do another select, put it into internal table, so on and so forth. So that you can do.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. See, again, I'm saying HANA runtime is not a blindfolded replacement of ABAP runtime. No, it is not yet matured. The code, the SQL script code is not yet matured to handle everything which ABAP runtime can handle at the moment. That's why still in the standard content, they have preferred ABAP runtime, because they can do function modules, they can do
Yeah.
complex loops, and they can do a lot of other things in ABAP runtime. So I would say, don't blindly just go for HANA runtime. If your task is getting very heavy when you go for HANA runtime, and if you have to convert all your ABAP code to SQL script, then don't do that. Stick to ABAP runtime. Performance wise, you will still have the benefit of HANA, right? Because if you write the new standard, new code, ABAP on HANA code, it will still do
Right.
push down to HANA. Not a complete push down like a procedure, yes, but it will still do push down. That means it's not that ABAP runtime will take 10 seconds, HANA runtime will take 1 second. No, that's not the difference. If your HANA runtime is taking 1 second, ABAP runtime might take 2 seconds. That's all, 1.5 or 2 seconds. So don't think that ABAP runtime is bad. ABAP runtime is still very strong, still very good. You should use it if you think your task is very easy with ABAP runtime, and if you're finding it difficult with HANA runtime. But if you can, right, if it's a new development, then you should always try to go for HANA runtime and code in SQL script.
Okay.
Okay, one
So
more thing.
Devanshu, in this kind of parallel, sorry, I
Yeah,
will ask next.
just one thing before I forget. So when the transformation is HANA runtime, okay, then what happens is that I told you that in HANA database, certain objects will get created, which in a normal ABAP runtime transformation will not get created. How to check those things? So if you want to check that this particular transformation, how is it talking to HANA database? When I say push down, I am saying database procedures, so on and so forth. where can I see those objects which are getting created by the transformation? So what you have to do is, if you want to connect this guy to the HANA database and see how it's talking, how these guys are talking to each other, open the transformation, go to the properties of the transformation, and in the properties, go to the technical tab. In the technical tab, there is something called analysis process. Click on that. Every transformation which is HANA runtime will create something called a analysis process, which will start with tr underscore for transformation. Okay. This HANA transformation analysis process will give you a calculation scenario. That calculation scenario is your bridge between transformation and the HANA database, because HANA database understands the calculation scenario. HANA database does not understand transformation. Transformation is ABAP layer concept, but the bridge between the two is your calculation scenario. So transformation, which is in HANA runtime, always creates a calculation scenario, and that you can see in that analysis process. So when you come to this analysis process screen, by default, you will not be able to see the calculation scenario. To activate the calculation scenario, you have to go to menu, extra, expert mode on. When you click expert mode on, then there will be a fourth tab which will show up, and this tab will give you the calculation scenario. This is the object which is understandable by HANA database. That means HANA database understands this language. This is an XML language, and this is a calculation scenario. Now, if you want to check this guy in HANA database, so just copy this, go to your HANA database. So let me copy this guy. Okay. Just copy one part, one sub part, tr underscore. Now let's jump to HANA database. Okay, this is my HANA database. And here, sorry. And here I will go to systems. And which schema I have to go to? What is BW owned schema? SAP HANA DB is the BW owned schema. So you expand there. And then in the tables, don't go to the tables actually. This is a column view, I think. Yeah. So this is a column view. The calculation scenario is nothing but your column view. So right click on the column view folder, say filter, and then put the name as tr underscore whatever you have copied from this calculation scenario, and then click OK. And then you will see that there will be multiple column views created. The main one is with the name, the complete name. Forget about, you can ignore the dot one and other ones, but just take the main column view which ends with that particular name, tr underscore slash 1 bc amdp. This is amdp. See, all these are amdp generated objects. When you create an amdp based class and method, it generates a column view which is nothing but a calculation scenario. So this is what the calculation scenario is there. This is the bridge between your HANA DB and your transformation. And if you double click here in this, you can see the definition of this particular calculation scenario. This is a statement, how it is created. So you can see that the create statement will have create calculation scenario, SAP HANA DB, so 1 BC AMDP, blah, 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 using all these internal formats. So this is internally used by HANA DB to execute your transformation code. Your transformation code is this. This is all the code which gets translated from your transformation code into a calculation scenario. Now this is really complex to understand. Okay, this is don't try to understand what's going on here. You will go crazy. This is a very complex statement, I would say, for the calculation scenario, but HANA can understand it very well. For us, it might be Greek and Latin, but HANA can very well understand this. For us, if you want to have a better visualization of what's going on here, how HANA is interpreting the transformation code, then what you can do is you can right click on this column view and you can say visualize view. Okay. When you say visualize view, instead of this Greek and Latin, it is going to give you a graphical representation of what's going on. How HANA has translated the transformation code into a bunch of calculation view. This is basically starting with the calculation view. You see here, this is a calculation view. And then it has joins, it has unions, it has filtering. Whatever is going on in the transformation gets translated into this particular calculation scenario. This is a graphical representation of the calculation scenario. And this is what gets executed and in HANA database, and your code is, that's why the code is very fast, because this calculation view is the generated calculation view from the column view, and this gives the best possible path. So within the HANA database, whatever tables the transformation is accessing and whatever routines or whatever logic you have written, it executes that code and then it gives you results very fast. So this is how your transformation is translated into a calculation scenario. Just FYI, if you want to know the how they are talking to each other. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question.
I was about to ask one question while you started this. Can I?
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So in a case where we were using cursors and parallel cursors in our routines,
Yes.
if we want to have a better performance, should we be pushing that in CDS view, or is it good to write an ABAP routine in BW?
If you are dealing with the source related tables, right? For example, your code, the cursor, the parallel cursor, which was a replacement of nested loops, if that is mainly to do with source data, your VBAP, AC Doka table, your Mara table, of course you should do it in CDS view. But if you had that kind of code written in transformation routines where it is not dealing with source tables, it is dealing with two different ADSOs, three different master data tables, and so on, that you will not find in source, right? Then you have to deal with that in your transformation code. That means your AMDP class and methods. You have to either to go for for loops, or you can go for joins. Try to break down into joins, unions, so on and so forth. So based on what you are dealing with, you can either go for CDS views, which is in source, or AMDP class and method, which is in BW. You cannot connect a CDS view with a transformation. Please don't get confused that transformation and CDS views are connected. They are not. CDS view is something different. CDS view mainly comes into picture in your S4 HANA extraction, data source extraction. But CDS view is not a source for your transformation. You cannot connect a transformation with a CDS view, but you can connect a AMDP class and method with a transformation, which automatically gets created, by the way, which we have seen. So CDS view is something different. Transformation is something different. If you're dealing with the source related logic, of course, do that in CDS view. If you're dealing with ADSOs, tables, lookups, loops in that, then you have to do it in transformation.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
I have a question on CDS.
Yes.
Let's say if we start a CDS view with normal define view, just a basic join view, and at the later stage we need a parameter.
Yeah.
So can we just use the same thing with the required annotation?
Yes, you can use a parameter based CDS view. I think I have one created, or maybe not. You can add a parameter to an existing CDS view, but if you are using that CDS view for BW extraction, then it will not support. So BW extraction does not support a CDS view with parameters. If you are doing embedded analytics, the reporting within S4, then yes, of course, you can add a parameter, and then in the where condition, you have to put a where clause at the end of the CDS view. And in the where clause, you can use the input parameter if you want to restrict the data.
Yeah, because I tried this, and at the BW level,
BW does not support CDS view with input parameters.
Okay, so it just we need to create a normal view and do the filtering at BW level.
Correct. You can do the filtering at a DTP level if you want.
Yeah, but if I just need to create a query on top of that straight away, don't want to store the data, then also it will not work.
You try an OpenODS view based on the CDS view
Hmm.
and see if the input parameters are supported or not. I think it will still give you some problem, some compatibility issues, but
Hmm.
give it a try. ADSO extraction, I am pretty sure I have tried that. It does not work. Does it work with OpenODS view without loading the data? Something I need to check. So give it a shot and let me know. I'll also check from my side. But I still think it's going to be probably a problem, but we'll see. We can check that.
Okay, and just want to clear one more thing on the transient provider. So if I
Yes.
just create a normal view without parameter and I'll give the cube annotation,
Yes.
then it will be appeared in transient provider straight away.
That's
Is
right.
it correct?
That's right. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So
So in that,
if you keep an annotation of cube or dimension, both of them
hmm,
creates a transient provider. In addition to operational data provider, the transient provider will be created if you have those annotation, data category cube or data category dimension. And on top of that transient provider, you can create your BW query. This is also a very common thing in S4 HANA. So in embedded analytics, what people do is they create their Z CDS views based on the standard CDS views or bunch of standard CDS views. And then they create a BW query on top of the transient provider. And then that is used in the Fiori tiles or some front-end tools, SAC or things like that for reporting. And there
okay,
you can use input parameters.
query variable you are referring to.
That's right, via query variable. In fact, even if you don't use query variable, remember I showed you in the BI statistics CDS views which we created. Even if you
Yes.
don't do that, and if you have the annotation analytics.query is true, if you have that annotation, then you
Hmm.
don't even need the query variable. Your input parameter, which is there in the query CDS view, will automatically become a variable when you create a BW query on that. Not
So you're
create, sorry,
referring.
the analytic query. The analytic query which gets generated when you try to run that analytic query in RSRT, automatically that variable, that input parameter will show up as a variable.
But this scenario will work in the embedded an embedded BW.
Also, yeah, it will work. It will work. See, in that case, you are not creating your own query. You are using the analytic query, which gets generated with that annotation analytics.query is true. But if you don't want analytic queries, you want to create your own queries, then yes, then you have to create transient provider, use the input parameter, create a BW query variable, connect it with the input parameter, and then use that.
Okay.
So it's both ways are possible.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Devanshu, can we create a program and use it in a process chain?
Yeah, of course you can.
Like,
Programs are
from
always
an,
accessible via process chain. There is a process step which says execution of a program, and then you can use that.
no, but the thing is in HANA runtime.
In the transformation, are you saying?
No. So suppose I have a process chain, I have to write a ABAP. I mean, I have to do some programming,
Yeah.
not about a transformation.
Okay.
But can I do it? Can I do it via that SDB underscore whatever that AMDP sort of thing? I mean, is that a possibility?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So when you create a
Okay.
program, you have to make sure that you include the interfaces, the necessary interface. If AMDP marker HDB, and then you can write your class as a AMDP class. As long as you include the necessary interfaces and then you write the keywords, yes, you can use it in your program also.
Okay.
So you want to try to have AMDP based class and method in your program, basically. That's what you're saying, right?
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes, that's possible.
One more question is, in the old world, we had this info package routine, right? If we
Yeah, you can have
wanted
DTP
from a
routines similarly.
okay, so I can do that coding in the production directly. That means.
Coding directly
I
in
mean,
the production
I
in
mean,
DTP,
for
yes.
example,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Sometimes in
yeah.
production you
I
need
could,
that.
yeah, I could have opened SC38 from production directly via IP routine in the old world, right? So that is that a possibility right now? I mean,
You're trying
I mean,
to, yeah,
from a
yeah,
support
I know,
standpoint, I'm
I know,
asking.
I know,
Yeah,
I know. I
yeah,
know from support point of view, sometimes it becomes necessary to do that.
yeah.
So in the DTP, you can definitely write a routine in the DTP as a filter. In the DTP filter, you can write the routine, right? But what you are saying is in SE from SE38, you are trying to open that routine, is it?
No, from IP routine. So if I go in the old world at 7.x flow, if
Yeah.
I want to do some quick fix in the production, okay, I could
Hmm.
have done it. I mean, I could have wrote a IP routine basically, right?
Yeah.
So, so that is a possibility, right? In the via DTP routine.
Yes, 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 that's a possibility. So in this particular filter, in the DTP, in the filter, okay, I will say, for example, I will restrict this, okay, restrict selected fields. Now in the restriction, I can, so in this, I have history, value and variables. So in, it is a variable create range. Okay, not here. Maintain, I think this one. Yeah, so this is going to the code. So this is the conversion routine for the DTP where you can write same type of code. So this will be familiar. This is exactly same what IP routine look like, right? You have your LT range with key field name and then site abex, the table index was there and modify LT range. This is exactly what we used to do in the IP routine, info package routine. Same thing you can do in the DTP and you can quickly write a filter, maintain filter but provided you have the necessary privileges in the production to do
Authorization.
that. This needs
Correct.
certain privileges for connected to DTP. So if you have that, if your basis team or security team has provided you that, yes, you can maintain from here, you can maintain the routine for the particular field.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, in earlier cases, when there is a transformation routine in the start routine, we might delete the source package if it meets certain criteria. So when it
Yes.
goes to HANA procedures, do you have to make any system changes to allow that particular deletion of source package in the start routine?
Yeah, no. If you want to add a deletion and all, you have to stick with ABAP runtime. In HANA runtime, you cannot do a delete statement inside your code because your methods, all methods will become read only. That's the current restriction. So you can just do a select where this condition is not met. See, what we used to do is we used to do delete from source package where my company code is not equal to 1000. Something like this we used to do, right? Same thing you convert it into select clause. Select from my int tab where this company code is not equal to 1000. So you will not be able to write a delete statement, but similar functionality you can do with a select clause. But if you really want something which only works with delete or you have a complex statement with delete, then you have to stick to ABAP runtime. HANA runtime does not allow those statements. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So thank you very much for attending today's session. I hope it gave you a little bit of a background of how these runtimes and how the routines work. Tomorrow is going to be more interesting. We are going to debug our code and we'll see if our routines are actually working or not. All right. Thank you so much for attending the class. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.